Marxism and Socialism, explained by Valentina Estela. First of all, a brief explanation of what socialism actually is will be given. To start with, socialism is a political ideology that fights capitalism. Well, not necessarily fights, but they're opposites. It comes based through the ideas of Karl Marx, a philosopher, and it started in the 19th century. This will be explained more deeply later on in the video. Proceeding with listing some of socialism's main characteristics, we can start by mentioning government ownership of productive resources. This means that all means of production belong to the whole society, represented by the state. It could be said that this aspect mainly affects the country's economy. Not only this, but interventionism is also applied. Interventionism basically is the permanent intervention of the government in social and economic activities, in the distribution of goods. It does this with the goal of guaranteeing the equity it so much talks about. As well, socialism supports the abolishment of social classes. Well, because it supports equality, people shouldn't be graded between the ones with money and the ones with less. The only legitimized social class is the proletariat. This influences greatly in the social side. It can also be said that socialism doesn't always follow an exact religion. This one will depend on the country in which the political party is playing. Also, according to the intensity of the appliance of this one, will the religions be abolished or not? Last but not least, it can also be said that in socialism, the government has the obligation of covering everyone's basic need of life. These are food, shelter, clothing, health, education, and employment. To this point, it is important to start mentioning the history of socialism. This one will be covered in three main points. First of all, we have to clear out Marxism and socialism aren't exactly the same. Although they're both based on ideas of Karl Marx, their main difference is that Marxism is more of a theoretical system. Socialism is more practical. There is also the fact stating that Marxism speaks for how a revolution can change social structure. Socialism speaks of an economy fair for everyone. Although these parties are not the same, throughout the whole video and the whole document, we will be explaining them as one. Marxism is a theory based on the ideas of a philosopher who lived in the 19th century. His name is Karl Marx. It could be said that the mentioned party is based on conflict, but why? According to the ideas of Marx, there is constant conflict between society, the rich against the poor. Socialism solves this problem by putting everyone in an equal economic position. This will disintegrate social classes. To deeply understand Marxism and socialism, we must also signal its opposite party, capitalism. Capitalism represents the political party in most civilized countries, like the US, the UK, etc. According to Marx, capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership of a country's means of production. This could be considered an opposite to Marxism, having in mind that in this party, society is sustained by the few people who own factories, farms, businesses, shops, and other organizations. Now, we will be presenting some of the most important representatives of socialism. Between these, Karl Marx. Marx was a philosopher born on the 5th of May 1818. He was born in the Kingdom of Prussia. While he was an economist, he wrote the Communist Manifesto. Here, he would explain where socialism, Marxism, and communism would work all together. Now that this point has been covered, we will move on mentioning J.D. Stalin. Joseph was born on December 18, 1879, Russia. His rise to power started after the Revolution of 1917, when a communist society was created. After Lenin died, Stalin took over with a very strict way of ruling, a dictatorship. It could be said that Stalin took the Soviet Union from being a minor regional power to becoming an economic superpower, but for this, he had to cause millions of deaths and a reign of terror. Finally, we will be pointing out Nicolás Maduro, former president of Venezuela. His great relationship with Marxism would be that currently he's leading a communist country. Why he inherited Hugo Chávez's regime. Sadly, the situation in Venezuela only keeps on getting worse, while in the hands of this dictator who believes in supreme communism. Moving on, we will be pointing out some of the symbols of socialism. First, we have the hammer and the sickle, which you can see. This one started in the Russian Revolution, and after World War I became a common symbol for the Soviet Union and is usually used to represent communism, Marxism, and socialism. Also, we have the raised fist. This symbol was used around the same time as the hammer and the sickle, but it became truly popular in 1948, Mexico. Lately, it was used in a Ukrainian group that was rebelling against capitalism in 2015. Finally, we will be showing some stats for socialism not only in the world but in Colombia. In the following map, you can see all of the countries who have joined socialism and communism in the last 60 years. This one is pointed out by different colors. Now, a map of Colombia's political parties will be shown. These ones are basically separated between two groups, Partido de Izquierda and Partido de Derecha. Partido de Izquierda will be the ones who mostly support socialism, Marxism, and, well, basically all of Marx's theories. The circled parties in black will be the ones of extreme Izquierda, and the circled parties in gray will be the ones of Centro Izquierda. These are not extremely Marxism, but they don't go for Partido de Derecha. Now that the basics of socialism have been covered, we have to say thank you for watching, and we hope you understood. Now, if you have any form or doubts, you can comment below and we'll make sure to answer these. Also, don't forget to subscribe.